The drama.
Yeah. Well, hey, we're back with another movie review.
Hello.
By the way, I am really aware, not that anyone's been criticizing me, but I'm very aware that sometimes I talk kind of slowly. A lot of times I'm trying to gather my thoughts. If you're finding that listening to me is excruciatingly slow, I recommend going to a squirrel. You speak plenty fast, but I recommend going to 1.25 speed. I started listening to us back on 1.25 speed at some point, and then somebody came up and talked to me, and I was talking really fast. And I think I got influenced by listening to myself on 1.25 speed, and I talked a lot faster naturally. Maybe I should do that right before this review. Who knows? Well, this review is about the movie The Drama. We took a little while to get to see it because we keep getting, we're so interested in finding out what the mystery movie is so many days, and so a lot of times we went with mystery movies, and we took a minute to get to The Drama, but we finally did. I had been hearing really good things about it. I'm so glad we get to see it. I mean, I enjoyed it. What did you think, Squirrel?
Right, so invested are we in the mystery movie, we tend to let bigger deals go by, and thankfully we saw Project Hail Mary, and we saw The Drama, and boy, was there drama. Do you want to give them the rundown?
Well, yeah. Well, okay. To me, this... Oh, by the way, this is, spoilers. We're, always going to...
Sure.
I unfortunately had something about this movie spoiled for me before by a whole headline.
Did not. So I was lucky.
Did not appreciate it being in a headline.
Because, let's start with the trailer was so well done.
Yes.
I even mentioned this to you after we saw it. I was like... The fact that they lead up to the scene where it's like, what is this drama? Mm-hmm. And each person is sort of edited to start telling their story, then cut away to the reactions.
Right.
I'm like, my goodness, what a great trailer. That makes me want to see it.
Yeah.
And so,
I was definitely very curious to see it. Plus, Zendaya is just, again, kind of like Margaret Qualley, one of those people that's just so magnetic,
Yep.
It's just I want to see pretty much any story that she's in. Well, I think this movie, there's a couple different things you could think it's about, but I'm going more on the after rather than the before. So I'm saying this movie, because to me, the biggest feeling when I walked away from it was relief. And I was like, I think it's about the relief of getting over the emotional chaos of an upsetting revelation with someone you love and want to keep loving, or maybe sometimes you are just one question away from getting your whole world rocked. Can you ever know another person, and do you need to, or do you just need to have a really good gut feeling about them in this present moment? So this is a story of characters Emma and Charlie, played by Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. And they have a cute little meetup where he sees her reading in a window, listening to music and reading. He comes up, pretends to be familiar with the book. He's actually being a little tiny bit creepy, photographs her book, looks it up, and then comes over and tries to approach her. Well, it turns out she can't hear out of the ear that's facing him, and so he has to try a few times. But ultimately, they end up dating, and this time period of the movie is leading up to their wedding. So all of the interactions, for the most part, are getting ready for the wedding related things. They're tasting food, for the caterer. They are meeting with photographers and choreographers and all of this, which poses a really nice, a really nice awkwardness to when once they have some turmoil going on, they have to then kind of put the turmoil on hold and make it through some of these little meetings. But basically, when they're tasting food for the caterer, this couple that they're friends with, Rachel and Mike. Rachel somehow decides to ask everybody to say, "What's the worst thing you've ever done?" Now, would say, do you feel like everybody at the table said something pretty darn despicable?
Yep. And what bothered me was, and maybe this is because I might be not from America, and kind of felt that Robert Pattinson's character being English, and he just was anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But just his, like, everyone was very open. That's America to me.
Yeah.
Everyone is open. Ask him, and he's like, well, he gets a bit Hugh Grant. He's like, I don't know. I don't know. And he couldn't be honest, and then he had to think for a minute, and then came up with a story that I'm like, is that true?
Did you cyberbully somebody?
Yeah, did you? You don't seem like the type, so I'm not sure if you just made that up to seem like I'll join in and say something that sounds bad.
But if you did cyberbully somebody to
that's
the point
bad.
that maybe their family moved, that's
right.
really bad. Using a girl as a human shield against a scary dog is bad.
Yep.
Locking somebody in a trailer closet or whatever in the middle of the woods
with a possible disability
is horrifically bad. And then they turn it to Zendaya or Emma, and she's like admits that she planned a mass shooting and was considering it sounds like there was a time in her life where she was bullied and maybe just became kind of checked out. It looked like
right.
there was a lot of alone time for her.
Yeah.
And a lot of loneliness and a lot of meanness. And she had access to a gun.
Didn't go through with it. So am I the psycho that I'm like, when they react like they do, I'm like, but she didn't go through with it.
Right, she actually didn't do it. They were just freaked out that she was preparing to do one.
Right.
It seemed like the younger version of her was really into like almost like the aesthetic of it. I think she admits she was into the aesthetic.
Right, and we find out her dad was in the military, so had guns around the house.
Right, and it looked like she was just getting left a lot of notes. So she was an only child and kind of by herself a lot, and she started taking pictures with the gun, and was even trying to make some farewell videos and stuff. And then,
which to me, that was a great scene of like, did you get the feeling that was early noughts that she was doing that and the computer kept crashing? Right. And I was like, oh man, you're trying to do something serious and it's like, burn, you get that weird noise like, burn.
Right.
Computers just froze.
And the tone of this film is I think the tone of this film is subtle. Like, it's not like, ha, ha, ha.
Right, when people say, oh, it's a dark comedy, and you go, is it? This one is, I believe, because there were some laughs.
Yeah.
I especially loved, and I think we were both laughing at this, just after the revelation, and then it's like, try and get back to your normal life. Mm-hmm. And they just can't do it, and everybody's pained expressions, like you said, the photographer is like, they got to go rehearse. It's not even real photographer, like as in photographs. It's like, this is just practice before the big day.
Right.
And the photographer's trying her hardest to be
just
positive.
Just smile like you do in real life.
Yeah, just smile like a human. Smile normally. And add some teeth.
I think that was Zoë Winters I wrote down. Anyway, she was my favorite of, but all of the, even like the wedding DJ and the various DJs and stuff, But, so yeah, I feel like the movie is sophisticated and kind of subtle in its humor because we all know how to feel about mass shootings.
Right.
We all know how we feel about that. And yet we're able to empathize with Emma. And I think everyone's disturbed because the reason she doesn't carry out really is because there's a different shooting, right?
That happens and someone they know gets shot.
Yeah.
So it affects the school on this like visceral level,
right,
with emotion, and she's there witnessing people react to that. And I think she has very big second thoughts when you see the reality of it.
But I think a big part of it is that she finds community in being anti-gun. So I think what she was seeking this whole time, because she was a new student and people were like being super, super unkind to her.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden she's getting invited to be part of things and being anti-gun. And she finds community in that. But really, her character to me throughout, I feel like she seemed like probably like an introvert. Probably not a compulsive sharer, because otherwise Robert Pattinson, Charlie probably should have heard this story before. And
you would think.
It seemed like maybe what we're finding out is that they haven't maybe talked to each other as much about their pasts, but they really seem to like each other a lot and seem to have a really good chemistry in the present. So they've kind of, and so the movie kind of, to me, takes on a little bit of almost like the closest thing I could come up with was like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Sure.
In the sense of like, this relationship felt so right and then it went wrong, but maybe ultimately they're still supposed to be together,
That, and much like that movie, I love when movies know they're movies. You don't have to be linear. There's some great edits, and maybe that's the point of the editor in the drama, or maybe it was the filmmaker's vision, but I love when sometimes Robert Pattinson is talking to the teenage Emma. It's like it will... Zendaya will just disappear, and it's the teenage talking to him in the same scene. And you're like, whoa, is that what he's picturing? Like, as she's trying to explain it, it's like, oh, now I'm talking to a child. And that stuff was great, where it's like, you can mess with time. Like,
right, because he's trying to grapple with, like, oh, wait, there's a version of you who wanted to do a mass shooting.
And I noticed scenes would overlap with themselves, and sometimes, like, the dialogue would continue, but the characters just disappear out of the frame, and it's like, oh, is this passage of time? Like, these days are blending together, so you're seeing an empty room, but you're hearing dialogue from the previous... Anyway, stuff like that was great.
Right. Well, and I was thinking you were about to make the point that also much like that, which that movie has, like, memory erasure. Yeah. Well, it's not like these guys are erasing their memories, but they do this thing upon their first meeting, Emma offers to say, like, did you want to start over?
Right.
And that seems like a thing that she's really good about doing, or really good about trying to redirect if maybe they're getting stuck in if they're getting stuck in one kind of difficult mood, she like pulls his pants down or whatever, and I think she's just trying to like jump the track.
Lighten the mood,
yeah, but just totally like, let's just go in a whole other direction. And I thought it was really beautiful at the end. For me, it was really beautiful the way they both, kind of like they've both been through hell, in this day. Like, they're just they're in their wedding clothes, and they had originally thought that they were going to be almost like people that went to the Oscars and go to get food afterwards. Right. They were going to be all like happy about their wedding clothes and like going to something funny. But instead they're both in there looking kind of like shell-shocked, but really, really wanting to see each other again, finding each other again, and saying like, almost like meeting each other again in that moment with like, the sense that they want to be together. They feel like they're meant to be together. I mean, she's like, for her, he's kind of her only friend that we're aware of. That whole friend group was his friend group.
Right.
It's acknowledged. And then for him, like, well, look, she's Zendaya, she's like, look at her dancing, look at her laughing, look at her, being funny, like the whole, she seems like such a, Zendaya as Emma, seems like a total treat to be around. And he's, in his eventual speech to her at the wedding, he's saying, like, I don't deserve you.
And yeah, where you found it very sweet at the end, what I was thinking was, wow, you ladies will put up with a lot. Because Robert Pattinson really does go off the deep end of like, I can't stop thinking about this. It's like, at one point I was thinking, yes, this could be traumatic, but maybe you could let it go a little bit. Let's just understand. And I really wanted him to, like, he does start talking to her about how does a teenage girl get to this point?
Yeah.
Try and explain it to me. And then they show flashbacks of her being bullied. To me, that's enough. It's like, I now understand you had a horrible childhood. You were being bullied. That's why you thought you might want to mass shoot. And it's like, he won't stop thinking about it, and it ruins everything, really. And I felt like he was the problem by the end of it, especially his wedding speech. Talk about awkward the movie, where he's like trying to remember what he was going to say to her, but he's thrown that out, and now it's like, I'm busy thinking about, oh, what have I done?
Right. The sadness of, like, at the beginning, he's working on his speech and he's got all of these things to say, and then he just keeps, like, deleting stuff.
All this great stuff about her.
The movie goes on because he's having all these, like, second thoughts. And we're not in any way trying to downplay, like, the shock of finding out that somebody, like, if you told me that you had planned a mass violent thing, it would give me pause. Like, we're not trying to make, we're not trying to say that it shouldn't rock your world, and especially on the week that you're pledging to make this a permanent relationship, and you've already got, like, these festivities in process, it's already underway. So you can't just pause and take a beat. I mean, you are in your wedding week. So I think I understood him also.
Oh, and sure.
The way he was frantically trying to get other people's opinions and about, like, if you found this out from somebody,
Right. His hypothetically, if you were, and it's like, oh no, that's going to get back to Emma.
But I think
you just know it is.
I think that, like, yeah, it really rang true to me. And by the way, this is written and directed by Kristoffer Borgli. I felt like it really rang true for me in the sense that relationships often do have to overcome things that can shake them up.
Yeah.
And, even, like, like, finding out, you can't find out every single thing from a person. I guess he'd been dating for a couple years in this, but, like, you start dating somebody and you get a really good feeling about them. You can't really know everything, and you're not really going on an exact checklist anyway. But then maybe you find something out and you're like, oh wait, even something like, oh, you like football?
Right.
This means there's going to be a lot of football on. Or, like, oh, I feel like, so many people have been to Hooters. Just like, why has everybody been to Hooters? Surely there's somebody who hasn't been to Hooters. Anyway, people that don't seem like people who've been to Hooters have at least ironically been to Hooters, and it's just like, no, but you got, mash. Anyway, no, sorry. So if you ask, as you get to, can you really know another person? You kind of can't. You kind of can't ever really, really, really know the depths and into the thoughts of another person. But you gradually get, like, a really good sense of the gist of that person. And it is a little scary to start asking questions, and maybe you're not ready for the answers. Right. And it was kind of
You don't know where I go after these conversations. You think you do.
Scamper off into the trees.
Right.
I don't know what happens.
That's what you are meant to think.
And, like, it was a really unfair thing of Rachel to do, played by Alana Haim, to bring this up even that felt like messy to try to have this conversation.
Right.
Felt super messy, and it felt like it was a trap for Emma, that they had no clue like what was gonna land in the trap, but it felt like a trap. It felt like a way to judge her, and some stuff happens with her character. Did you feel like the whole bit about Rachel getting to be on the project or not getting to be on the project through Zendaya's job, through Emma's job, and it felt like Rachel wasn't answering her phone calls or emails.
Right.
But then Rachel gets mad when she gets removed from the project.
And then gets very belligerent at the wedding.
Yeah.
When they talk her into showing up.
Right. And then saying like something about, don't you have any friends? Was supposed to be like the cute thing she was going to say in the speech, which is really like an othering sort of mean girl thing to say.
Right.
So, and also this whole relationship started with Charlie lying about having read a book. And then he doesn't even read it in time for their first date, which Mike, played by Mamoudou Athie.
He says that. Like,
it's like,
wouldn't it have been easier just to read the
just
book?
read the book, But yeah, I kind of felt like anybody who has, I'm just looking over my notes just to see if there's anything I'm forgetting here. I felt like the feeling at the end rang true. I think sometimes you can have an argument and you can go round and round in circles, but then you're just so glad to be out of it because really that person on the other side of the table, you want to keep going with them. If there's something about them you really like, you want to keep going with them. And sometimes the best thing to do is just maybe meet them again for the first time. Just start over and try it again.
Etch-a-sketch the relationship.
Etch-a-sketch the relationship and go again if both people are in it to
win it.
To win it. There you go. That's what people say. So yeah, I thought it was a very different kind of story. It had an interesting like subtlety in its flavor. It wasn't just hit you over the head comedy, and it wasn't a super dreary drama or anything. It was like,
it was a good mix.
Yeah.
It was a good mix of the two.
Yeah, and all talent, all great performances. I was pretty much buying everybody.
Sure.
So, yeah. What did you think of the drama?
Yeah. Was it drama enough for you? Let us know. We read your comments. We really do.
Yeah.
I say we. Cinema Girl reads your comments. She does a lot of the heavy lifting on this channel.
And yeah, what would be a deal breaker for you? I don't know if we want the comments to get that dark, but is it a deal breaker or do you still want the deal?
Yeah.
All right. Well, on to more movies.
Yay.
Soon.